They burned her books to stop her. They believed that once the pages were gone, her dreams would disappear with them. But they were wrong. Because what they didn't understand was this: education is not just written on paper. It lives in the mind. And once it enters, no fire can destroy it. Amina grew up in a small, struggling village where survival was more important than ambition. Life was not easy. Food was never enough, and every day came with its own hardship. But in the middle of all that struggle, Amina carried a dream that refused to fade. She wanted to go to school. Not just to sit in a classroom, but to learn, to understand, and to build a future beyond the life she had been given. Every morning, before the sun rose, Amina was already awake. While other children prepared for school, she tied a scarf around her head and stepped out to begin her day's work. She carried water. She worked on farms. She sold small items in the market under the hot sun. Every coin she earned, she kept. Not for food. Not for clothes. But for education. At home, her dream was not welcome. Her mother did not believe in sending girls to school. To her, education was a waste for a girl who would one day marry and leave. "Why are you suffering yourself?" she would say. "School will not change your life." Amina never argued. She simply lowered her head and kept going. Her older brother made things worse. He mocked her constantly, laughing at her efforts and calling her foolish for chasing something he believed she could never achieve. But Amina refused to listen. At night, when the house became quiet, she brought out old books she had borrowed from a kind neighbor. The pages were torn, the covers worn, but to her, they were more valuable than gold. She studied in silence, whispering words to herself, slowly teaching her mind to understand what her world had denied her. Day after day, night after night, she kept going. Until finally, her hard work began to pay off. After months of struggle, Amina saved enough money to take the first step toward school. She held her books that day with pride, her heart full of hope. But that hope did not last. When her mother saw the books, anger filled her face. Before Amina could explain, the books were snatched from her hands. "What is this nonsense?" her mother shouted. And in a moment that would change everything, she threw them into the fire. Amina stood frozen. She watched as the pages curled, darkened, and turned to ash. Her hands trembled. Tears filled her eyes. Those books were not just paper. They were her effort, her sacrifice, her future. And now, they were gone. For a long time, she said nothing. She simply sat there, staring at the ashes, as if her dreams had been burned along with them. But something inside her refused to accept that ending. That night, while everyone slept, Amina sat awake in the darkness. And slowly, she made a decision. If her books were gone, then she would become the book. The next morning, she returned to her work as usual. But this time, something was different. As she carried water, she repeated lessons in her mind. As she walked in the sun, she remembered definitions, numbers, and ideas she had studied. She refused to forget. At night, she found small pieces of paper and began writing everything she could remember. Line by line. Word by word. She rebuilt her education from memory. It was not easy. There were days she forgot things. Days she felt tired. Days she almost gave up. But she kept going. Because now she understood something powerful. They could burn her books, but they could not burn her mind. One evening, as she sat outside writing under a dim light, a man passing by stopped to watch her. He was a teacher. Curious, he asked her a question. Amina answered. Then another. And another. Her answers were not perfect, but they were thoughtful and full of understanding. The teacher looked at her in surprise. "This girl is different," he said quietly. That moment changed everything. He offered to help her. He guided her learning, supported her education, and helped her enter school properly. For the first time, Amina sat in a classroom as a student. And she did not take it for granted. She studied harder than anyone else. She listened carefully. She asked questions. She pushed herself beyond every limit. Years passed, and her efforts began to show. She became one of the best students. Then she moved forward to higher education. And eventually, she built a life that once seemed impossible. Amina became a respected professional, known not just for her success, but for her strength and determination. And one day, she returned home. The same house where her books had once been burned. Her mother stood there, silent. The same hands that had thrown her dreams into the fire, now trembled with regret. Amina looked at her calmly, without anger, without bitterness. And she spoke with quiet strength. "You burned my books," she said, "but you could not burn what I had already learned." Silence filled the air. And in that moment, the truth became clear. Education is not just something you hold in your hands. It is something you carry in your mind. And once you have it, no one can ever take it away from you. So no matter where you are in life, no matter who doubts you or tries to stop you, remember this. Your mind is your greatest power. Protect it. Grow it. And one day, it will change your life.